Hello, everyone. It is the Daily Dose of Light. Sorry it's a little bit late that I'm coming to you, but I actually wanted what I'm about to say to sink in overnight so that you can implement it tomorrow. So, I had a really beautiful experience. Um, and typically, these daily doses that I talk to you about are things that inspire me through the day, something with my family, with my children, with my students. Um, they're just basic inspirations that come right to me. They don't come from any specific place. I don't look them up in a book. However, from time to time, I'm going to recommend some books to you. But today's inspiration came when I was watching my teenage daughter watching or babysitting my grandkids. And it was just amazing to see that a child who just a few short years ago was doing the same thing that the little ones were doing was having a little bit of a short temper with the little ones. For example, she wanted them to clean up their mess. So she goes to clean up their mess. They're cleaning it up together, and then they make the mess again. And so she went, "What did you just do? You made the mess. You just cleaned it up." And so it was her reaction in the moment that most caught my attention. And what that means is we have to watch how we interact with people because this is something that has been passed down. When she was a little one, older people, older kids reacted to her instead of responding to her. So she's just passing this snowball down the hill to the next generation. And I brought it to her attention. And I said, "Do you remember what it felt like when people used to snip at you that way when you did something?" And she said, "I sure do." And I said, "How did it feel?" She said, "It didn't feel really good." And I said, "Well, how do you think you made them feel?" And she said, "It probably didn't make them feel really good." So for the rest of the day, she shifted the way she was interacting with them, which was absolutely beautiful. Now, like I mentioned, reaction versus response. A reaction is based in the moment and it doesn't take into consideration the long term effects of what you say or you do. A reaction is sometimes survival based or survival oriented, and on some level, it's a defense mechanism, okay, which we need that. We need to react to certain situations. It's part of human nature. It's part of survival. But a reaction doesn't take into consideration typically thought behind it. Okay? That's why we call it a knee jerk reaction because something gets hit and there's this immediate reaction. Sometimes we wind up looking at it like a jerk when we react, hence the jerk part of knee jerk reaction. But again, reaction is just this programmed thing that has been embedded within your psyche that you are doing as you interact with people and situations. So think about that for a second. Think about your day. Think about your interactions with people and how you relate to them. And how many times do you react? How many times are your buttons pushed that make you say or use a tone that maybe sometimes you regret a little bit afterwards? Think about that for a moment and then think about this. The response or a response is, on the other hand, it usually comes out much more slowly and it's usually thought provoked. It's usually something that has been thought through because you want to respond accordingly. You want to take a moment and respond to an email. Texting usually is a reaction. Somebody texts you and you're going to react back, okay? These are those times where I say, slow down and let's use a nice, clear thought response to send back to somebody or to speak back to somebody. Now, there's one main ingredient that will help you move from a reactionary person to somebody who elicits very, very comfortable, very confident responses. And that thing is a breath. One breath, one deep breath. So instead of reacting as soon as someone says something or does something, a kid spills a glass of milk and you go, "Oh my gosh, what did you do?" No, that's a reaction. What I want you to do is take a deep breath. How do you want to come off to that child? How do you want that child to remember you? Do you want the child to remember you like a crazy idiot that screams every time something happens? Or do you want the child to remember you as a calm, collected, confident person? And more importantly, how do you want that child to grow up? How do you want your partner to see you? How do you want to program your partner? If you react, they're going to react back. More than likely. You're not usually going to get a very nice response if you bark at them. Okay? So, why the breath? What does the breath do? Well, the breath does two things. Oxygen comes into the brain, into the lungs, clears out the cobwebs, right? And allows you to clear your mind, clear your thoughts, and allows you to think one of two things. Either, how am I going to respond? Or, should I walk away for a minute, gather my thoughts, and then come back and respond? Okay? So that's what oxygen does for you. The other thing that a deep breath does for you is a lot of us are very connected to guides, angels, God, Jesus, Babaji, all the different very uh, divine energies that we pray to all of the time. When you take that breath, it's God given breath, and it allows whatever is around you to help you and guide you, the angel on your shoulder, okay? The devil on your shoulder, if you want to call it that, is usually the one that wants you to go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, do it, do it, do it. So I ask you now, before you go to bed, think about, react based on the moment, not taking into consideration any long term effects about what you're saying or what you're doing, or do you want it to be something that you think through? Because a reaction is typically something you'll regret later, unless it's something saving your life, like you're going to react and get out of the way of a moving car. Or do you really want to sit and think these things through before you go forward? Think about it as you go to bed tonight. Review your day. See how many times, if you can remember how many times you reacted versus when you responded. And then see if tomorrow morning, when you wake up, you have programmed your thoughts and your system to be the person who takes the breath before you do anything, before you say anything. Think it through. Breathe it through. Okay? Now, I know a lot of times my daily doses of light are all over the place. You know, somebody said, what time each day are you going to do that? I don't know. And I don't know because I'm truly guided in the moment by whatever comes through me. When I hear it's time to do it is when it happens. So it's kind of spontaneous, and that way I get a lot of people. But you can always come back, you know, the next day and look back at what was the day before. But I'm hoping you enjoy this. And coming soon, I'm also going to be suggesting some books, some real tiny little books that you can read that are going to help you stay present in the moment, focus your thought, and be the best you can be. Until then, enjoy your evening and think about it. React versus respond. I leave you now in the deepest peace and love. Namaste.